Life is difficult. That is an undeniable truth. It is filled with challenges, disappointments, and pain that can break even the strongest among us. We face moments of despair when the weight of the world seems unbearable, when the dreams we nurtured slip through our fingers like sand, when the people we trust let us down, and when suffering appears meaningless. The question is not whether hardship will come, because it will. The real question is, what do we do in the face of it? Do we allow ourselves to be crushed under its weight, or do we stand up, face it head on, and cling to something greater than ourselves? Hope is not a luxury, it is a necessity. Without it, we collapse. Without it, we wander aimlessly. But hope is not merely wishful thinking. It is a decision, a discipline, a light in the darkness that refuses to be extinguished. Hope does not come from denying reality or pretending that everything is fine when it isn't. That is delusion, not hope. True hope is built on a foundation of faith. Faith that the difficulties we face have meaning. Faith that the struggles we endure can refine us. Faith that even in the darkest moments, there is a purpose greater than our suffering. To hope is to believe that something good exists beyond the present pain, even when every fiber of your being wants to give in to despair. It is a radical act of defiance against the forces that seek to pull us into the abyss. The storms of life will test you. They will strip away your comforts, challenge your beliefs, and expose your vulnerabilities. And in those moments, you will have a choice. Succumb to the storm or anchor yourself to something unshakable. Hope, real hope, is the anchor. It is the force that allows you to say, this is not the end of my story. It is the belief that even in suffering, there is redemption. Consider this, the greatest figures in history, those who changed the world, those who inspired generations, were not people who had easy lives. They were people who faced unimaginable suffering, who walked through fire and refused to be consumed. They found strength not in the absence of pain, but in the presence of purpose. Faith and hope are inseparable. If you have faith in something greater than yourself, hope naturally follows. Faith is the conviction that there is order beyond the chaos, that the suffering of today is not without meaning, that no matter how lost you feel, there is a path forward. And yet, faith is difficult. It demands trust, it requires perseverance, and it forces us to acknowledge that we are not in control of everything. That is a terrifying thought for many because we want control, we want certainty. But faith asks something different. It asks us to surrender not in weakness, but in strength. To recognize that we are part of something far grander than ourselves. Suffering can be a teacher if we allow it to be. It strips away illusions, reveals our deepest fears, and forces us to confront our own limitations. But it is also in suffering that we find resilience. You do not know how strong you are until you are tested. You do not know how deep your faith runs until it is shaken. You do not understand the power of hope until you have stood on the edge of despair and chosen to believe anyway. This is the paradox of hardship. It has the potential to destroy you, but it also has the potential to shape you into something greater than you ever imagined. Think of those who have endured unimaginable loss and yet still choose to live with purpose. Think of those who have been betrayed yet still choose to love. Think of those who have faced the darkness yet still choose to believe in the light. That is hope in action. That is faith manifesting itself in the most powerful way possible. And you are capable of the same. You have within you the strength to endure, to persevere, to stand tall in the face of adversity. The question is whether you will choose it. It is easy to despair. It is easy to surrender to bitterness and cynicism, to believe that the world is cruel and that nothing matters. But that is not wisdom, that is resignation. True wisdom is recognizing that pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. It is understanding that no matter how deep the valley, there is always a way out. It is refusing to let circumstances dictate your spirit. You must choose hope, not because it is easy, but because it is necessary. not because it is convenient, but because it is transformative. Not because you feel like it, but because without it you will lose yourself. And if you hold on to hope, if you anchor yourself to faith, if you refuse to let go, even when the storm rages, you will emerge stronger. You will look back on your struggles, not with regret, but with gratitude, because they will have shaped you into the person you were meant to become. You do not need to see the entire path to take the next step. You do not need all the answers to move forward. You do not need certainty to believe. You simply need to decide that despair is not an option, that giving up is not your story, that hope is worth fighting for, and if you do, you will find that even in the darkest night, there is a light that never goes out. Life is not a random sequence of events. It is not an accident, nor is it meaningless. Every single person is called to something greater than themselves, something beyond mere survival, beyond the daily pursuit of comfort and security. There is a weight to existence, a responsibility that each of us must bear. And whether we choose to acknowledge it or not, we are all walking a path towards something. The question is, what is that path? What is its purpose? And do we have the courage to follow it? Because make no mistake, living a life of meaning is not easy. It requires sacrifice, discipline, and faith in something greater than yourself. At the center of it all stands the cross. Not just as a symbol, but as a truth that echoes through history, a testament to suffering, redemption, and grace. The cross is not a story of defeat. It is the ultimate example of purpose fulfilled. It is about taking up burdens that are not easy to carry, about standing firm in the face of suffering, and about understanding that the deepest kind of meaning in life does not come from avoiding pain, but from walking through it with grace. Because if you refuse to suffer for something meaningful, you will suffer for something meaningless. There is no escape from suffering in this life, only a choice in what you are willing to suffer for. It is easy to look at the world and become cynical. It is easy to think that virtue is outdated, that morality is relative, that sacrifice is foolish. But cynicism is the refuge of the weak. It is the easy way out, the path of least resistance. It takes no strength to scoff at purpose and call it naive. It takes no courage to reject responsibility and claim that nothing matters. What takes courage is to stand up and say, I will live for something greater than myself. I will carry the burdens placed upon me with dignity. I will answer the call no matter the cost. That is the path of meaning. That is the path of true strength. But it is not an easy path. It never was and it never will be. Purpose demands everything from you. It asks you to be disciplined when you want to be lazy, to be kind when you want to be cruel, to be honest when a lie would be more convenient. It asks you to endure suffering with dignity, to forgive when you would rather seek revenge, to love when it would be easier to hate. And yet in the struggle, in the pain, in the sacrifice, you will find something profound. You will find grace, not because you are perfect, but because grace is given freely to those who seek it. And when you embrace that grace, you will find yourself transformed. There will be moments when you doubt yourself, when the weight of your burdens feels unbearable. There will be moments when the world tells you to take the easy way out, to give in to despair, to abandon the path of purpose because it is too difficult. And in those moments, you must remember this: the greatest things in life are never achieved through ease. No one builds character in comfort. No one grows through avoidance. Strength is forged in adversity, wisdom is born from struggle, and faith is refined in the fire. Do not fear hardship. Fear a life without meaning. Fear a life spent chasing distractions, never answering the call that was placed upon your heart. It is not enough to simply exist. You must live with intention. You must decide every single day that you will rise above your own weaknesses. that you will reject the temptation to take the easy road, that you will not allow fear to dictate your choices. Purpose is not found in fleeting pleasures or momentary success. It is found in the quiet conviction that your life is meant for something more. And that means responsibility. It means owning your actions, facing your failures, and refusing to be a victim of circumstance. It means recognizing that you were not placed here by accident. You have something to offer. You have a duty to fulfill. There will be pain, that is certain. There will be loss, suffering, and moments where you question everything. But there will also be redemption. There will be moments of profound beauty, moments of grace that take your breath away, moments when you realize that even in your darkest hour, you were never truly alone. That is the paradox of life, that suffering and grace are intertwined, that struggle and meaning go hand in hand. You cannot have one without the other. You may ask yourself, am I capable of this? Do I have what it takes to walk this path? And the answer is yes. But not because you are perfect, not because you are strong enough on your own, but because grace will sustain you when your strength fails. You will stumble, you will make mistakes, you will fall short of who you are meant to be. But falling is not failure. Staying down is failure. To rise again, to take another step forward, to continue despite the odds, that is victory. That is what it means to live with purpose. The world will try to tell you that meaning is subjective, that purpose is a myth, that you can live however you please and it will not matter in the end. But deep down, you know that isn't true. You know that you were made for more than mediocrity. You know that when you sacrifice for something greater than yourself, when you serve with humility, when you act with courage, you are tapping into something ancient and eternal. You are living as you were meant to live. Do not waste your time chasing things that will not fulfill you. Do not squander your days in bitterness, self-pity, or resentment. You have been called to something greater, and answering that call is the most important decision you will ever make. Live with purpose. Carry your cross. Walk forward in grace. And when you reach the end of your journey, you will look back not with regret, but with gratitude. Because you will know that you lived fully, that you answered the call, and that your life, no matter how difficult, was deeply, profoundly meaningful.